Hello, my narcissistic abuse family. I am thrilled to be doing this. I know it sounds silly, but it's a lot of work to maintain like two platforms. I do the Instagram and YouTube here, but I'll be honest, I like doing these videos. I know it's a one-sided kind of thing, but you comment and we interact with each other that way. And I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys. So here I go. I also had pink eye last week, which was ugh. Anyway, my topic this week, I'm talking about financial abuse because of narcissists. This is a topic that does not get nearly enough attention, and it is something that is very deliberately done by these evil abusers. They do a very good job initially at setting us up to believe that we're failures, right? And then they slowly make us codependent upon them so that the whole world revolves around them. And they get us thinking that, like, we're nothing without them, right? That's narcissistic abuse. That's the nature of it. Because narcissists are control freaks, and they have to be. When you think about what they're doing and this false world that they've constructed, it takes a lot of work for them to maintain it. Think about it. They're telling all these different lies to all these different people, so they have to keep their ducks in order. They have to make sure that they don't cross lines. People don't compare notes. It's a lot of work. So they are control fanatics. And financial abuse, I will speak about it from both ends, I guess, of the spectrum, like with parental narcissistic abuse as well as with a partner. With a partner, it's so insidious, and it really makes me angry when I even think about it, because I've been on the sideline witnessing this from afar with a peripheral narcissist, I will say. I witnessed it myself as well. And thankfully, I was a young person and I was very resilient at the time, and we did not have any children. We weren't married or anything like that. We were just engaged for a hot minute. But he completely financially exploited me. And that's what narcissists will do, particularly when you're married or when you're some type of romantic entanglement relationship. They like to, as I said, they will strategically cut you down and continue to make you believe that you are some type of failure, that you can't get on without them, and it couldn't be farther from the truth. That's why they're attracted to you initially, is because they know that you are a successful, self-sufficient, independent person. And it's so sick. Like, narcissists view the world like it's a game, because they don't have any substantial, formidable connections or relationships, so they have to entertain themselves in some way. They have to give themselves a purpose, we'll say. So they are constantly playing games. So their initial game is to take you down, right? They want to take a beautiful, independent, strong person and destroy you. That's what their sick, demented minds seek out to do. So I speak about this randomly, and honestly, it's so far removed from my current life, thank God, but I can certainly put myself back in this place to speak about these important issues, because I know they impact individuals in this community or anyone that's going through this. So when I was with this creep jerk narc back in, almost 20 years ago now. But when I was with him, I was in my young 20s. I was getting my graduate degree and I had an amazing job. And I was working full time to support myself because I had narc parents, don't forget, which were completely absent. I'll get back to that, more financial abuse from that end. But I was doing really well for myself. And this loser piece of crap, I had 2 jobs at the time. And he was like a manager at the one job that I was working at. It was, I don't know, I won't get into specifics, but it was like a part-time job that I was doing. And I was doing a lot of different things. I was doing like accounting, inventory, like I was in a lot of things. I was multitasking. And that's how I met that creep. So, when we hooked, it was a volatile, back and forth for like 5 years about, and he really took advantage of my financial situation. He did that, like, when we met, he was living in an apartment, renting it, right? By the time that he dumped me, he had purchased a home. Now, he was able to leverage himself financially by when he was renting the apartment, and I moved in with him, like, on and off, because I was in and out, because we were breaking up, like, every other week. He had me paying him rent. Okay. So I was giving him rent. And it was like $1,000 a month. That's like a lot of money. So he was able to buy himself, buy another apartment, which was like a condo, they considered it. So he bought that. And then he was able to roll that, turn that over, sell that, and buy a home, which he sold me, a bunch of baloney, had me thinking this was going to be our home, right? But my name was nowhere on the mortgage or anything like that. But meanwhile, I was funding it. I was buying all kinds of things for the house. I was buying food. I was a young person. I was very naive. He was 10 years older than me, and he full well knew what he was doing. So, thankfully, by the time we broke up, I just bounced right back on my feet. I just cut my losses and moved on. But I've witnessed horrible, horrible situations where, I thank God that I did not have children with this creep. But I know situations where people have had children with their narc ex, and this one situation, it really, really gets me. It's hard not to get into specifics, but I'll be vague about it, I guess. So, one of my dearest friends, best person, the kindest heart, the best soul, she was with a narc. And he took advantage of her in the worst way, every possible way you could think of. So, unfortunately, they had a child together. I mean, the child is beautiful, and children are never a mistake. But they had a child together, excuse me. And she was home raising their child for, 10 years. And this jerk was out, building his career and forwarding himself in his career and progressing in that way. And she was supporting them. And she was even working at this time too, because, she couldn't be, she couldn't be loafing off of him. That's just not acceptable. A narcissist needs to be served, Everyone in a narcissist's life has to be serving them in some way. So not only was she raising their child, but she was also doing daycare as well. So they didn't have to pay for daycare because she was also watching their child and making money by doing daycare. So she did that. And then, long and the short of it, after he, wasn't getting, narcissists get bored and they discard their supply after, it's just not what they're looking for anymore. They need they need a new supply. They need more attention. They need something. So this is obviously what happened. And this creep did not divorce her right away because he was claiming her on taxes to get a tax write-off, right? Because she made no money because she was not investing in her career. She was investing in their family. She was investing in the creep and their child. So she makes nothing. So by the time he left her, cheated on her, he was he dragged his feet with getting divorced, and he was writing, using her on taxes to get a refund, basically. And she was trying to go to school, and she could not get, he was actually holding her back, she could not get student loans or assistance or anything because of his income would bounce her out of that bracket. Even though she saw none of his income. It's truly horrific. It's ugh. So now that he's in a new relationship, moving on to the next, he all of a sudden decides he wants to get divorced quickly, right? Now, this has been going on for years, and she missed out on student loans. She missed out on, all kinds of assistance that she could have received had his income not screwed her over. So now it's just a very bad situation, and that's financial abuse at its worst. And, it's so hard. It's being on the outside of it, you see it for what it is, but when you're involved in it, you don't see it for what it is. You just see gosh, I gotta get my finances in order and stuff. And no, man, they very deliberately put you in this position where you have to depend on them, where, they're the be all end all, right? It's horrible. So in terms of my parents as well, with the financial abuse, I was in college, okay? I was getting my master's degree. I was getting my graduate degree. And I was working full-time because, me and my friends wanted to move off campus. That's what a lot of people did. I was on a volleyball team. I played volleyball in college. And we rented a house in the town that our college was in. And I did not realize this at the time, because when you're going through it, your narcissistic parents normalize it. You don't know any better because it's all you know. You're not aware of what's going on in the outside world and other people's healthy dynamics with their parents. So my friends were all being supported by their parents. I was not. Even right down to books and stuff. And true to narc form, my narky parents, they had to be all bougie. That's all they cared about portraying, was they were some type of affluent, upper class, and meanwhile, I'm their daughter struggling like heck to make ends meet through college. I was paying for my, I had student loans, so nobody was paying that, but I was paying for my books, paying for my, living, paying for my food, all that kind of stuff. They just like cut me off because in their selfish narky minds, it's like, well, you could live in our house because that's, the narc's dungeon. It's the narc den, I like to say. It's the narc wants to live in this bougie house, and you could live here, you could live with us, and if you don't want to, that's your choice, and they will not support you otherwise. So basically they set me up for like failure, but thankfully we're tough, that's our nature. Thankfully, that's why we're seeing our way out of this dysfunction, and we're extricating ourselves from the dysfunction. But I'll tell you, man, when I was in college, it was so hard. Like, I was working 2 jobs, I was going to college full time, and that's when I was diagnosed with MS. Big surprise. So I had all that on my plate, and they did not support me financially. It's like they wanted me to fail, basically. So I was so stressed out trying to, and I couldn't understand, like, when I was in college, like, all of my peers, my friends, were doing their internships, and back then it wasn't paid. Like, I was like, how are you guys doing this? I was trying to do my internship. After I worked a full day, I would go to my intern, and I had that message that I was barely walking. Like, that's when I was struggling to, physically. It was such a horrible situation. It's like narc parents want to set you up to fail because they're the be-all end-all. Again, they're like control freaks, and they have to be like your savior. Like, you can't function without them. That's how they want it to be. So, Gino just jumped off the chair. So, financial abuse, it's very real when it comes to narcissists. It's a very, like, passive-aggressive type of thing. And people aren't able to identify it because it's very covert. But very much it is a real issue. And when you're in a romantic relationship with a narcissist, they will definitely sabotage you to the worst extent. They will make you think that you're completely dependent on them, that you can't live on your own, and it's all your fault, at the end of the day. It's like you were raising their child, you were supporting them, and being a good spouse, but it's terrible. It's disgusting. It's like they just want to hurt you however they can, and financially is one of the parameters. So I love you all. I'm happy to be making a video, and I'll be back, and I love you all. Please like, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with anyone that you think this would benefit. I appreciate you all. Yeah, I always forget to say subscribe. Please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. We're bumped, we're bruised, but more than anything, we are blessed beyond measure because we're getting out of this dysfunction, and we have a genuine appreciation for love and people that really matter in our life.